Hi, I'm Spusiso. This is All Things SA Football. Just gonna give you a short recap of what has transpired on the round of 16s of the AFCON, and also give you a short preview of Bafana versus Morocco. So what has happened so far? Angola versus Namibia. It was an easy win for Angola, straight and forward for them. Even though they got a red card, it still didn't affect them whatsoever. In fact, Angola is one team that plays beautiful football on this tournament. They play more similar like Bafana or South Africa, but they build more fast than Bafana. Bafana builds up slow. Angola builds up fast, and they keep the ball on the floor or on the ground, just like Bafana. Nigeria versus Cameroon. This was a straight and forward win for Nigeria. Cameroon was not right at all. Uh, Probably missing the likes of Abu Bakr costed them, but they were not a threat at all. And one thing about Nigeria is a strong defense. Yes, going forward, they might have a couple of problems, but they have a very strong defense, and that showed against Ivory Coast when they played at Ivory Coast. When that coach decided to put in four strikers, which is also ridiculous because how can you put four strikers and not beef up the midfield, people who are going to supply them, the strikers, But then he did that, and they tried by all means to get crosses to those guys. No cross came in. No cross came to those guys. So that's when I saw that, Nigeria has a good defense. Yes, they might not have a couple of things going to them forward, but their defense solid. They have a very solid defense, those guys. Equatorial Guinea and Guinea. Equatorial Guinea. Things could have ended up different for Equatorial Guinea if their star men scored that penalty, and if they didn't get the red card, but then they got a red card. And it was so heartbreaking the way they lost. I'm sure Equatorial Guinea fans cried immediately after that goal, because Guinea scored on the last minute of the last added time. So if you get me, and they scored on the last minute of the added time, around 7 minutes or 8 minutes. That's when they scored, and immediately after that, the referee just ended the game. Painful to lose in that manner. Painful. Egypt versus DRC. Both teams going to this match, they didn't win or lose any of their group matches. So if you look on this game on paper, definitely the game was going to end on a draw. And that's exactly what happened. The game ended up on a draw. It went to extra time plus penalties. Players scored their penalties, and the Egypt keeper decided to take one and miss, and the DRC keeper took his and scored. So Egypt were knocked out on that manner. Cape Verde and Mauritania. Mauritania is one team that almost took us by surprise on this tournament. Those guys, they played very well, for the mere fact that they have the smallest population on this tournament. They are the country with the smallest population on this tournament, but they played very well. Even when they knocked off Algeria, they were playing like you could see that this team does have that thing. They do have that thing about them, and they almost knocked off Cape Verde, but then they didn't convert their chances, and then their defender decided last minute that, you know what, I'm gonna make a mistake and decide to hit the ball to the keeper when he had the time, the space to control the ball. But he decided, no, I'm gonna pass the keeper, and the striker anticipated that he's going to do that, and then the striker stole the ball or took the ball away from the keeper, and then the keeper committed the penalty, and that's how they were knocked off. Senegal and Ivory Coast. They say, give a man a second chance and then you'll see flames. That's exactly what happened to Senegal. Ivory Coast were given a second chance. Ivory Coast, they were buried 6 feet down the ground. But then Morocco decided, you know what, we don't want you Ivory Coast to stay there on your grave. We want to dig you up out of your grave. And they dug them out of their grave, you know, to go to the round of 16s. And they used their second chance very well. Because what they did on that game was that they outplayed Senegal. They outplayed Senegal. One good thing that they did was to take Sa out of the game. Sa was off the game. I don't even think I recall where I saw him holding the ball. He was completely out of the game. That's one thing that Ivory Coast did so well. Mane tried to do everything himself. Yes, he first half he did create a goal, but then after that he kept on trying to do things alone. But unfortunately, you cannot play alone. You need the team to play with. You know, you need your teammates to play with. But he tried. He couldn't do it alone. And one thing that went into Ivory Coast's favor was that the crowd was behind them. The spirit was on them. They had, you know, when you are given a second chance, you make sure you use that chance to optimal, you know, to the fullest. That's what Ivory Coast did yesterday. They controlled the game from first minute to the last minute. They got their goal. They took the game to extra time. They won on penalties. Senegal missed one penalty and they converted 5 penalties. And that's how the game ended. And going to these games, which is Mali and Burkina Faso and Morocco versus Bafana. Now, I'm not going to give you a preview for Mali and Burkina Faso, but I'm going to give you a preview for Bafana or South Africa versus Morocco. Coming to this game, Morocco has won 2 games, drew 1. Bafana has lost, win, draw. You know. So, coming to this game, Morocco has an advantage in terms of paper. On paper, Morocco has an advantage. In terms of history and in terms of the injuries, Bafana has an advantage. Bafana has won more of this fixture compared to Morocco. And Morocco has a couple of injuries. Hakimi is likely to not play. Ziyech, I think it's confirmed that he's not going to play today. So that plays in at the advantage of Bafana. Now, if you are an outsider or someone who doesn't stay in Africa, you would think that there's no way Bafana would win today's game. But you are so wrong, because if you looked at how this team played on the World Cup, which is Morocco. Remember, Morocco on the World Cup, they were not playing football. They were doing one thing and doing it very well, which was, we're going to just defend. And we're going to let the teams come to us. We are just going to defend. Luckily, they didn't face teams like Croatia or Brazil. Teams which can put the ball on the ground and move it on the ground and try to break you from there. Not to try to break you using long balls and crosses, because that's where Morocco excels. Once you try to break them using that, you're not going to win. You are not going to win. You're not going to do anything against them. So that's where Bafana has a chance. That's where you see that Bafana has a chance, because Bafana is one team that does keep the ball on the floor. It does keep the ball on the ground. With the likes of Mshishi, who can make anything out of nowhere. With the likes of Mshishi, who can create a chance out of nothing. You know that something is going to come on this game. You know that something is going to come. Morocco, if you look at the left-hand side of Morocco, the left back, their left back is not a good left back. Yes, they keep on rotating those 2 guys, which is Ala and Chibi. Ala and Chibi, Mohamed Chibi and Ala. They keep on rotating those 2 guys. They play locally. They are based in Africa, both of them. That's one flank where Morocco is shaky, or that's one flank where Morocco is weak. When you compare that, that's the strongest side of Bafana. Remember, on that side, there's Mudau and there's Morena. That's where Bafana creates most of their opportunities. Now, on our left-hand side, where Mudiba plays, where Mudiba plays, that's also the strong side of Morocco. That's where they excel, and that's where we are a bit shaky because Pesitao doesn't come back to help Modiba, and Modiba is not a good defender. He's good going forward, but in terms of defending, he's just okay. He's an average. Or yeah, he's just an average player in terms of that. So that's where we might encounter a bit of challenges or a bit of problems on that flank. But also, we'll give them a lot of challenges on their left-hand side. The game, I think the game will be won on those two flanks. The game will be won on these two flanks. Where they are shaky on their left-hand side, we are also shaky on our left-hand side. Because Pesitao has been off form for whatsoever reasons. The coach doesn't want to take him out for whatsoever reasons. So one thing that we need to do today is that Pesitao needs to come to the game. Sitole needs to stop losing balls, and he also needs to stop being shy and hide himself from receiving the ball. Mushishi needs to stay on form. He needs to perform the way he performed the past games. Morena needs to do what he has been doing. It's good. It's working for us. Muhopa is performing very well, even though there might be a couple of people who criticize him. But based on what he does for Bafana, let him stay there. In fact, let him play 90 minutes. Because the coach taking him out and putting Lipasa was not even helping us at all. Because he has been brought 3 times already. I think I've seen him hold the ball once or twice. He hasn't really done anything for us when he came in as a sub. So if these players can come onto the party, which is Morena, Pesitao, Tembazwane, these players can come into the field. It's gonna work out for us. And remember that another thing that works to Bafana's advantage, it is their defense. Remember, all those 5 players, they play for one team, which is Mamelodi Sundowns. The combination, the communication is it's already moving. It's already gelled. It's an old communication at the back. That's why if you look, Bafana hasn't conceded ever since Hugo Bruce decided to play that back line. They haven't even considered a single goal. So that also works to our advantage. So my prediction for today's game is that Bafana will win 2-0 or 2-1, or the game will end on a draw. That's my prediction. Going to extra time and penalties, anything can happen. But my prediction is that Bafana will win today. It might be 2-1 or it might be 2-0. That's my prediction for Bafana against Morocco.